I want to speak about the need for property investors to have access to good information and good advice when making investment decisions. Now, the background to that is massive change in the situation of property markets across the country. Compared to a year ago, we've had a series of what I call fortunate events impacting generally positively on residential real estate. Firstly, the federal election in the middle of May. The following week, changes announced by APRA, which allegedly made accessing finance easier. We then had a series of tax cuts announced by the federal government, which has since been legislated through both houses of parliament. 3 interest rate cuts, announcement of a scheme to help first-home buyers, providing them with more assistance. Generally a more positive tone in media, which is generally helpful, and we're seeing consumer sentiment rising as we've gone along month by month. A general shortage of supply, not a lot of listings despite the upturn in activity by buyers, and a downturn in construction has also added to the fact that we've had rising demand at a time when supply is being increasingly limited. The thing is, they're all national issues and they're very generalised in nature. It tells you nothing about what's going on at the coalface of property markets at the local level. And essentially it comes down to this: what we believe at Hotspotting to be true is that property markets arise out of local economies. And there's a critical importance when you're dealing with that reality in accessing expert advice. Most consumers unfortunately tune into mainstream media and they absorb sound bites and clickbait headlines. So there's a lot of free stuff out there, but it's very poor quality information. So there's a lot of consumers that I have contact with on a daily basis, whether by phone, through these kinds of forums, live seminars that I do regularly, or through email, who are walking around with their heads full of misinformation. I just want to touch on an example of the kind of information that is available in media and how it can mislead, misinform consumers, and to emphasise the need to speak to the kind of experts that I'm going to be talking to tonight to get expert assistance before you make any big investment decisions. Media tends to report each set of data published by research firms like CoreLogic or SQM Research. The Australian Bureau of Statistics had their latest figures out this week, or Domain is another example. But what media doesn't know, or certainly doesn't inform their readers or their viewers, is that if you get figures from 4 different sources about the single market, you're going to get 4 different situations, 4 conflicting sets of figures. For example, the latest figures from those 4 sources I mentioned, CoreLogic, Domain, SQM Research, and the Australian Bureau of Statistics, would have us believe that, or 2 of them say that the Adelaide market is up in annual terms, but the other 2 say it's down. Same situation with Brisbane. 2 of those sources have Brisbane prices higher than 12 months ago, but the other 2 sources say that Brisbane prices, generally speaking, are lower. Everyone agrees that the Hobart market is up, whereas one source says Hobart prices are up 1.9% in the last 12 months. Another source says they're up 3%, and a third source says up almost 10%. So one source says the Hobart market is still booming. Another source says the Hobart market is reached the end of this boom. So we have all this conflicting data being published by different sources, but media isn't analysing and informing people. The set of data they're currently presenting is just one snapshot, the latest figures from one source, and it should not be treated as gospel truth. So there's a lot of confusion out there for real estate consumers, and it highlights the need for people to talk to experts, to be willing to spend money and time on doing real research and getting expert advice. So I'm going to be speaking to 9 experts in their various fields of endeavour as we go through the next 2 to 2.5 hours. And before I introduce the first of those guests, just want to remind you that some of us, not all of us, but some of the people, including myself, are going to be making perhaps a special offer to go with tonight's presentation. In the case of Hotspotting, our special offer is the Best Buyers Bundle, which you can access by going to the homepage of the hotspotting.com.au website. And there'll be information on the homepage where you're getting basically our 3 most popular price for less than the price of 2. And that's the special offer that we're making available to people who are registered to view the virtual property summit tonight. And so I'd like to wrap it up by making what I think is a very key point. We often read in newspapers, magazines, and online services about the common mistakes made by investors. You'll quite often see a headline which says the 5 greatest mistakes made by investors. But for me, there's really just one big mistake that investors make, and all the other mistakes follow on from that. And the big mistake that I think the most wannabe property investors make is they're unwilling to spend money on good advice and good information. And I see it all the time. The typical Aussie investor can be summarised like this: yes, I'm willing to spend $500,000 buying an investment property, but no, I won't spend even $50 on a research report, and I won't spend $500 on a valuation to make sure I'm buying the property at the right price. I certainly won't spend $5,000 on getting good advice from an experienced property advisor who could possibly help you develop a strategy tailored to your needs and help you to implement a strategy to grow your wealth through a sensible program of property investment to create a portfolio that serves you into the future. And I think the unwillingness of property investors to spend those small amounts of money before spending a great big lump of money is the worst kind of false economy. It's the biggest mistake that investors everywhere make. So today I've presented a range of leading real estate professionals who are in different fields of endeavour, but we've really only just scratched the surface. And if you want to be successful with property investment, I suggest that you follow up and contact as many of those as you can and find out more. And in the end of the day, don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money. Property investment is a business, and as with any business, you have to spend some money to make money. And finally, don't forget our special offer at Hotspotting. If you go to the hotspotting.com.au website, to the homepage, you'll see our special Best Buyers offer. We're offering our 3 most popular reports as a package. That's 3 reports for less than the price of 2. So that's our special offer that goes in association with tonight's virtual property summit. Okay, well, that's it for now. Thanks everyone for participating. We had a record number of people registering for this event. Very much enjoyed presenting it to you. I've had some great discussion with some really knowledgeable people who know their stuff in their areas of specialty in real estate. So I think it's something that we'll do again in 2020. But for now, this is Terry Ryder from hotspotting.com.au signing off. Talk to you all again soon. Bye for now.